What's the other bit of news?
So the segue from this is Tony Gilroy, the creator of ANDOR, has spoken. I'm so scared of these ads now. I've shared screen.
Just posting.
Has spoken about the Mandalorian paving the way. I've seen all these headlines saying like Star Wars like Tony Gilroy calls out Star Wars fans. So I thought I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And said Andor wouldn't have happened in a world without Baby Yoda, which is amazing. And I was like, what type of a statement is that?
I don't think Andor would have happened in a world without George.
No.
So I don't really know what these guys mean by that. Essentially, like, does he mean that because there was a popular consensus around a character from a...
it's in the article.
It wasn't the first six? Oh, what is it?
And no, it's way worse than you think, because he says no one's ever going to start a show on this scale again and shoot it practically. We were protected down the line. You're thinking, what protected you? The fans? The love of the franchise?
Can you hit Control Plus?
Let's get in there.
There we go.
Let's get a zoom on.
There we go.
Kathleen Kennedy was leading the charge in championing the Andor at Disney. She protected us. Lucasfilm protected us. Bob Iger protected us. The audience, thank God, protected us. The Mandalorian protected us. We had all these people out there backing our play. The success of the Mandalorian gave us the platform to jump off. And I was like, Kathleen Kennedy protecting? Why is this guy...
From what?
Acting, like some type of, he's trying to survive and like, thank you, Kathy, thank you, Bob Iger, for protecting us.
Yeah, y'all getting paid millions of dollars to, like, you literally. What do you think Tony Gilroy got paid if the whole project was $750 million? I mean, protected you from what? What are you talking about? The only guy that should be thanked here is George. All right, and I say that because nobody is really ever thanking him anymore. The only reason all of us are here is because of George Lucas and the first 6 films that he made, and then the Clone Wars after that. What is Mr. Gilroy talking about in regards to Kathy saving him or protecting him or Bob Iger? I'm lost.
I think it comes to the money and practical effects, and this show would never happen without the Grogu sales. And he goes on to say this. I don't know if you want to read it, Stips. I feel like I'm hogging all the reading.
Sure. Online, people try to drive a wedge all the time between us, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, Gilroy said, calling out how the toxic part of the Star Wars fan base tends to come out very loudly against concepts that they don't want to support, which is a statement that kind of annoys me because, we're here to share our opinion. And since when is being like, hey, I don't like this TV show considered an inherently toxic trait? I don't agree with that at all.
Well, it isn't, and that's what these studio executives who are getting paid millions and millions of dollars to bastardize something that we really love and respect, which is Star Wars, made by George, don't understand. And they think that if you have any sort of rhetoric that goes against the thing that they so-called are making, this creative masterpiece, thanks to Kathy and Bob Iger and all that, then you're a toxic part of the fan base. Look, I'm not going to pull a page out of John Boyega's book and wash the entire fandom, because of a few racist pieces of shit. You have to call it where it is. So, like, yes, there are toxic parts of fandom. There are toxic humans in the world. There are bad people that exist. Every single day, we have to deal with garbage people. Always. We ourselves might be garbage sometimes, and you learn and you character progress and you become a better person. You change your values. That's life. But to say that, oh shit, calling out how the toxic part of Star Wars fan base tends to come out very loudly. Well, maybe you shouldn't see them as toxic, but rather passionate fans. Sure, the assholes are assholes, but we're talking about, if you're going to generalize, we're talking about fans in general. We love Star Wars. So if people have a different vision or they don't agree with something that you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do, you shouldn't be hitting them with insults and generalizing them as toxic. You should be maybe addressing different people's points of views. So I could see how some people didn't like this. I could see how some people didn't like that. But this was my vision and what I wanted to portray. Instead of just being a fucking asshole and saying, these are toxic parts of the fan, like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, there's a much more
fucking boring show.
There's a measured way to get out the same statement or the same sentiment, I think, and that is without the proven success that Star Wars can work on television through the mind of Jon Favreau, honoring the legacy of George Lucas. They proved that The Mandalorian could work, and therefore, like, Andor was greenlit and put into production. But it's clear that so many of these Lucasfilm executives are so audience obsessed and fan obsessed in the negative connotation of the fan base. It's exhausting. It's like they have to mention it every single time they talk about anything whatsoever is, by the way, there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there that we don't like. By the way, you know, there's a toxic section of the fan base, instead of just being like, this is our show.
Right. So
we're excited for it. They want to go for it.
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. The issue with this is that you are now looking, when you are an authority like that at Lucasfilm or whatever it might be, and you're now generalizing by saying anybody who does not like this show is a toxic part of the Star Wars fan base, then you're going to get someone like me or you or someone regular who's not being racist or sexist or anything like that, and it simply has an opinion by calling out their distaste for a show or a movie based on the fact that it was boring or the story or characters or whatever it might be, the progression, then you are now lumping them all in as a toxic part of the Star Wars fan base. So then everyone who liked it and the shills were getting paid to like it, all of those people in one group who are the positive are now going to look at anybody who has a differing opinion as toxic. And it's purporting this kind of narrative where anybody who doesn't just eat this slop and love it without any sort of analysis beyond, it was amazing, I didn't know how much I needed this. We see those guys all the time at the red carpet premieres. Then they're all of a sudden toxic, or they're invalid. And I think that is such bullshit. So, you know, these executives need to do a little bit better when they're calling out toxic parts of the fan base. You know, just get your millions, write your fucking story, and leave. Don't talk about the fan base.
And then he goes on to say, it's horrible what people say, it's terrible. And the truth is, we don't have a show without them. They give us the muscle to go.
No, Kathy gives you the muscle to go and the millions to go. So, you know, how Revenge of the Sith costs about $120 million and Andor costs $750 million. I don't know what you guys are doing with that money. Where is it going? You know, what are you guys doing with it? So that's one question. The other one is your head so far up your ass that you can't understand that the people who are toxic are the actual only ones that have been making this fan base worth $4 billion to begin with when you bought it from George. So maybe you should be a little bit nicer to your target audience instead of generalizing everyone. If you want to call out the shitty people, then single them out. Those people are out there and they need to be singled out. Don't generalize everybody just because they didn't like the show. Get real.
Yeah, and again, it's just the blanket term. Toxic, just in this case, means everybody that didn't like it, which is just an unfair, broad paint stroke.
To play devil's advocate, if you actually look at and chat's bringing this up, if you look at the way that this paragraph is worded, he never used the word toxic. It was Gizmodo that have inserted it very slyly so that it comes out into the news cycle.
Ugh.
Look at it. You see how it's outside the quotes? That's some sleazy wording, right? Because you don't, it looks like it's all quotes.
Right.
It's in between it. So it looks like he said it all. Ooh. And this is why it's hit the news run really hard
Yeah, you know, there's a major problem up there. So
they're pushing their agenda.
Oh, of course. But also, yeah, it's like they're hand in hand.
I don't know if it's it's one thing that they're pushing an agenda for sure. But I think generalizing an entire audience based on them not liking something and lumping them in with people who are clearly assholes, such as racists and bigots and sexists, I think that's the issue. Because then you're really not addressing the problem. You're now just kind of, you're almost protecting the real asshole people, the real toxic people who have a problem with skin color of a character or whatever it might be, for the people who love the project and just want good stories and have a real problem and disconnect with the lack of character progression or the character arcs that are or aren't there and where they're going. So it's like, instead of generalizing, because it just gets real muddy,
Hmm.
you want to address the people who obviously are assholes for, I would say, reasons that shouldn't even be there, versus the people who have like real opinions and have been fans for their whole life. Let's address those separately. Otherwise, you're just protecting the people that are just hiding behind the real fans.
You know what's a really clever thing that he's also said? At the top of the article, he says, their success is what would fuel the whole thing, speaking of The Mandalorian. I mean, no, Baby Yoda. No, and then he says, no Baby Yoda, no Andor. Seriously, don't think we don't know that.
Yeah.
And then goes on to say that the only reason Andor exists is because of Grogu. But it's funny that there's this presupposition that anybody in the audience has gone, oh, screw Baby Yoda. And he's defending, it's like a straw man argument. Nobody's saying screw Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
We're saying season 3 went off the rails, but nobody's ever said that. But he's defending something nobody's ever said, to my knowledge. I've never seen it. Just weird. Fighting phantoms.
It's just interesting that he would say something like, without the success of The Mandalorian or without the success of Baby Yoda, that we wouldn't have gotten this opportunity, talking like this isn't like the third biggest IP in the entire planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it wouldn't be greenlit? It's a Star Wars television show. It's set in an era around the Empire. This is extremely on brand for you guys. What are you talking about? Like,
maybe it's an upper echelon corporate puff piece to puff up the ego of Kathy Kennedy and Iger. Because, he's fighting phantoms. Nobody's saying these things. And he's like, without them championing this, blah, 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 go you guys. And it's like, what?